And with me to discuss American politics is Jayson Jay Smart, political analyst. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining me.
Great to see you.
Now, Mr. Jordan earned, when the first vote happened, he earned 200 votes. Now he earned 195 votes. Now he needs 217 for him to pass. What is happening inside of the Republican Party? Why is it so hard to choose a speaker?
Well, that's a good question. In the case of Mr. Jordan, I think the problem is simpler to understand. So he's losing support, not gaining support, which is probably a good sign that his days of being hoped for to become the next speaker are limited. The fact is he will not become speaker. And it's going to be very hard. I mean, there's not support on the Democratic side. Within his own party, there's a lot of people who dislike him and the direction he wishes to take the party. So I think that Jordan is finished. But what's interesting is that within the party itself, there is not a singular candidate around whom people are coalescing, where we see a strong support rising up. And that's probably a sign of the fact that the party itself is very fractured, very broken between those, about 45%, who describe themselves as being MAGA Republicans, as Trump-leaning Republicans, such as Jordan. And that is a minority still, not the majority of the party. So though they are very vocal and very loud and can do things like unseat the speaker, as they did a couple weeks ago, their ability to actually affect change and to then, come to leadership positions in Congress is still quite limited.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think they will choose a different candidate or they will continue to vote? Remember what happened with McCarthy. It took 15 votes for him to pass.
Sure. No, it could definitely take a long time. In the case of Jordan, I don't see it going his direction. I don't think he has something that can offer other candidates a reason to vote for him. I mean, he's affiliated with the most extreme section of the party. He was a huge denier of the last presidential elections results. He was saying that they were falsified, that Trump had in fact won. And these sorts of positions are just sort of outside the mainstream. And at this point, I don't see a way that he can get forward. Now, that being said, I think what is more likely to happen is that there will be a lesser-known candidate that will rise up who will just sort of come to the forefront, somebody who's perhaps not been so conservative nor so liberal, but somewhere between that within the Republican spectrum, who can garner the support of the Republicans who realize it just looks bad that they're not able to come up with a leader. It looks bad that they are, decapitated in Congress. The other option, of course, is that the current temporary speaker, the Speaker pro tempore, McHenry, could be given additional power so that he could operate as if he was the speaker without having them actually chosen him to be the next speaker.
Well, we'll see what happens there. Now, how is this chaos affecting American society and its politics?
Oh, it's affecting American society. Right now, there's a lot of complications. I mean, November 17th, which is just less than a month away, the U.S. government will close down again because the short-term continuing resolution that they passed, which allows the Congress to continue operating, was only for 45 days. So they have until November 17th to come up with a new solution for the U.S. national budget. But in the meantime, there's a lot of critical things going on. I mean, this is just really bad timing on one side. The situation in the Middle East is obviously inflamed. The situation with Israel needing more American support is important, as well as, of course, the support for Ukraine. Now, unfortunately, all that is sort of on the back burner. We're waiting because the Republicans cannot bring a vote to the floor until this is decided. So at this point, I think it is sort of urgent that Republicans get their show together because it is the American public as a whole will grow tired of this, and it will damage them in the next elections if they're not able to put on a better face.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, you talked about American society, but you also mentioned Israel and also Ukraine, because without a speaker, the House is unable to pass any bills, and that means any aid is not able to go, right?
Absolutely the case. So, I mean, the speaker has a lot of important things that he does, and amongst the most important things, I'd argue, is that he gets to decide what comes to the House for a vote and what does not come to the floor for a vote. And as there is no speaker, there's nothing else. And also the rule of the House, as they are not with a speaker, they have to deliberate on that first and foremost. So until that is decided, everything else is put on hold. Now, I do see that the Democrats are taking advantage of this. They've been very strategic. They're very, I'd argue, even wisely using this to show that, they are ready to work. They can make all the arguments in the world that they are ready to, get the funding for Ukraine and for Israel and to address other major problems occurring right now, but that it's simply the Republicans' lack of ability amongst their own party to choose a leader that is slowing down the progress the U.S. needs.
Now, when we talk about aid, do we talk about military aid or financial aid? Can military aid still be given to these countries?
So there's different types of aid, but the larger aid, which is financial especially, is something that can only come through the House. When we're talking about the very large aid, such as the $40 billion packages and things, that has to go through the House. Other types of aid, the president does have the ability to give still, but is much more limited, such as the drawdown authority that he still does have to send over some weapon systems, or in order to send over lesser amounts of money that allows for different specific needs to be met. But unfortunately, when we talk about the larger scale things, the more substantial programs, that's something that can only be addressed through Congress. And if there's, for instance, a bill that has to be looked at, it has to go through committee and everything else. But all this is, again, on hold until the Republicans decide what they're doing.
Well, only time will tell what will happen. Sir, thank you very much for shedding light on the situation.
Thank you.